back to another Debtbox Crypto Mining YouTube video. Today we're going to be going over one of the episodes of the IX Global podcast, the thing that was in the news that we talked about. We're going to go over one of them today, at least some key points that I picked out and thought we should go over. More relates to a lot of questions I get down in the comments section below. First and foremost, I do want to say I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. I am here for informational purposes only, as well as if you do enjoy the video, please take a second out of your time and scroll down and hit that subscribe button. It is free, and if you do not enjoy the videos, just subscribe, and then you can always unsubscribe if it's really not your thing. It's not that big of a deal. Also, let's pop right into it.
But there's nothing really behind those things other than the FOMO and the fear of missing out. And so we were looking and saying, it's interesting because as we were talking to especially people in the baby boomer category, young people understand technology a little bit better. They understand some of these new ideas that are coming out. But the baby boomers, every time you would talk to them about crypto, the first question we would get asked is, well, what's behind it?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the number one question out there, I think. Yep.
It's what's behind it.
Yep.
And for 90% of them, the answer is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
It's either you got a good, the project has a good utility.
You have to believe in the project and believe
Mm-hmm.
they're doing what they're doing, basically, to get any real, I guess, gains out of it and real utility out of it, right?
Or you got to get mass adoption like Bitcoin has in order to
Mm-hmm.
create value that way, and Ethereum. But it was just kind of an interesting thing where we were looking at it saying, well, why hasn't anybody married, real world projects with a digital token?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, there's different stable coins out there, right?
Yeah.
There's different things that are like literally tied to the price
Yep.
of, this commodity. But there's nothing really super exciting about that
Mm-hmm.
either. And so we were saying, well, how can we get all the benefits of the uprise pressure of a meme coin with some of that, with still having some of the security of an underlying foundation of something that has value to it. And that's where we came up with the idea to marry commodities and crypto. And so that started with a gold project. And we actually launched that, I think, in, April of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say maybe March or April, somewhere in there. Yeah. And the idea behind it was we could go over to the existing gold mines that we had, and we could, once the gold was on the other side of the ground and assayed, we could mint the coins to offset that. So there you have kind of more of a stable coin, scenario. And we're like, well, how do we get more upward, pressure on this so that people can really have something exciting? And that's where we came up with the idea that is kind of now the tokenomics that's behind Black Gold and the other deflationary tokens that we have in our offering. So Black Gold, what we decided to do is, instead of directly link, it's easy, like for gold, for example. If you have gold that comes out of Africa, it gets minted, it gets surveyed, it gets vaulted, and then you have this coin. And how cool is it if you could exchange this coin and get a piece of gold for
Correct.
it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, super cool concept. But nobody's going to take a big gulp of oil, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get a 55-gallon drum of oil
Yeah.
delivered to their thing. And if they do, there's nothing they can do with it. So there's really no value there. And so what we decided to do was marry the tokenization and wrap it with the revenues that come off of the projects.
And I think that's the key thing,
it's a
right?
revenue model.
The revenue model.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, so when I started learning about Debtbox, Black Gold is a project that I first bought as a customer,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I started looking at it, and I was in the crypto space already. I never mined Bitcoin on a mass scale. I had my Antminer here in my home
Mm-hmm.
and didn't make any money with it because I spent more in electricity than I did in actually getting Bitcoin. And actually, it's upstairs. It is a paperweight in my office right now.
Yep.
And from there, I started NatG,
Mm-hmm.
natural gas, right? But we've done natural gas. We have Grow that we've got involved in. We've gotten involved in XPLR. We've gotten involved in Allume. And also we're, at the end of the year here right now, and this is supposed to be the end of the year recap, but we spent most of the time laying the foundation. Let's talk a little bit about those projects and kind of where they're at compared to, let's call it Black Gold.
Yeah. So Okay, in order to understand kind of what we've done in the deflationary token side of things is we really based it off of the most simplest of philosophies, which is the age-old, supply and demand. As we all know, if the supply of something decreases and at the same time the demand of it increases, then the value proposition there should increase, on a linear path. And so the way that our tokens work is for every miner license that's sold, it deposits X amount into an EGI pool, Ecosystem Growth Initiative pool. That Ecosystem Growth Initiative pool is what mints all of the tokens, right? And the way that works mathematically, maybe this is too complicated to get into, over
without a whiteboard.
Without a whiteboard, and a
yeah.
whole lot of things. But basically, it distributes token based off of a mathematical formula that depreciates over the course of time. And then every year we go through what we call an annual halving. And so that EGI pool every year will shrink in half. And then it will only distribute half the amount of tokens that it did the previous year. And so a great example of that we can touch on that, I think most of the people that are going to watch this have the app. And so if you go into the app right now and you look at Black Gold, Black Gold is currently minting, I think,
1736
per day. And so I'll get a calculator out here just to make sure that the numbers are right. But if you look at 1736 and you times that by, there's 50,000 retail nodes out there, so 50,000. That means every day there's a distribution of 86,800,000 tokens. Okay, that's divided evenly amongst those 50,000 miners that are online, as long as the miner's online active and so forth. So now you times that by 30 days in the traditional month, and you come up with, call it 2.6 billion. So every month, 2.6 billion BGLD tokens enter the marketplace.
Correct.
Okay.
To the license holders.
Correct. That's the only way token ever gets to the secondary market. There was no ICO.
Yeah, there's no
printed token.
There's no Debt Council has 100 billion tokens on the side, right? So it's
Debt Council has to mine tokens.
They have
just
to mine.
Like
I love that. And just to anybody listening, if you read the light papers, it's called the Fair Launch Protocol, right? Nobody has unfair advantage. The founding members, the Debt Council, myself as the CEO. We don't have any extra things that are created before the project is going.
There's no backdoor deals.
We have to go and purchase, like me, I purchased 140 something initially natural gas licenses to get started. And so that's been an amazing, purchase for us because we've been able to see the growth and then exchange that from natural gas into debt, which debt right now, which is another conversation, but it's been pumping, great these last couple of weeks. But anyways, let's continue with this year. So 2.6 billion.
So if you look at it, 2.6 billion token are created every month. Now, in the community section of the app, you're going to see our burn notices.
Correct.
Now, what the burn notices are is as we go out and we get different projects to contribute to this ecosystem on a royalty basis, all of those royalties come into one entity, and that entity has one purpose and one purpose only. And that purpose is to go and buy token out of the secondary market. So it has to buy it over PancakeSwap or an exchange. It has to buy it from the node holders, not from the Debt Council. It has to buy it from the open market. And then it sends all of those tokens to a burn wallet so that those tokens are just destroyed. They're never going to hit the market again. And so the idea behind that is that's going to constantly shrink the supply that's out there. So last month on December 19th, so just a few weeks ago, we burned 2.3 billion BGLD. So 2.6 were created, 2.3
were burned.
Got burned.
So we're getting to that, maybe one of those inflection points, if we want to call it that, where we're going to be now potentially burning more token, or the ecosystem's going to be burning more token than is being created, especially because we have an event coming up here in a couple days for BGLD specifically, which is the annual halving, right?
Yep.
And so that 1736 that's produced per license is actually going to be cut down to 68, I think, as I did the math earlier, 868 tokens per day. So essentially at this point, we are now, and obviously we have to see what comes with the revenues, right? But we're potentially now burning more token than is being created on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so there's only one thing that can happen from that. You know, if I have the standing audience or the demand that wants to buy 2.3 billion token, but there's only 1.3 billion token available on the open market, what happens to the price
The
of that?
price just starts climbing up a little bit. There's upward pressure.
There's
now.
upward pressure.
Instead of downward pressure.
And so we're about, like you said, it's at the amount of wells that we have online and partnerships that we have. I think that we'll far exceed that. And then it's just about, how can we get more and more contributing to that burn? Natural gas. We're really looking forward to closing that. I think there's a few licenses still out there, but we expect that that's going to be closing out here soon.
Pretty soon, yeah.
So that'll be on the same trajectory. Now, natural gas launched 6 months after Black Gold, I think.
Yeah, almost 8. We did. I think. Well, we launched in May, the beginning of May, end of April.
So it's going to come up on its annual halving at that time. And ironically, again, and you can do this, on your app, go run those exact same numbers.
Yeah.
So natural gas, I think we looking at it was like 17,000 a day.
I have 14,000, I think. 14,000 a day.
And so if you look at, how many token that produces, and you look at the burn notice that just happened, I think there was 36 billion, token created, 32 billion burned. Don't quote me on it, but it's somewhere in that. It's climbing, and that's exactly where we want to be at that year mark, going into the halving. And so we've got some really, really big contracts on natural gas that are gonna. It's bigger even than what we were able to do in Black Gold, but you saw, some of the infrastructure that's going in there in Africa. I have no problem saying we were literally granted the only onshore drilling license for petrol in the country of Ghana.
Yeah.
And we have some of the big top 5 oil companies that's not something that we're going to do on our own. Obviously, we're going to lease that out to one of the big guys. And again, our idea is we just want to collect a little bit of the revenue, and we're able to do that because of the technology that we bring to the table, which we haven't even touched on.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
we'll save that for the Salt Lake event. Yeah, because I know there's some stuff going on there.
And so, there's going to be a lot of fun announcements with natural gas this year. Grow. A lot of people thought Grow was going to start as just a couple of different, farms here and there in the United States. And I think we kind of took everybody by storm when we showed them the size and caliber of what we have.
And let's talk about that, because I've had some people in some of our community chats talk about, hey, they said this, and they said this in the beginning, and they said this in the beginning, meaning some of like when the project was first getting started. And I think what people need to understand, and at least for me as a startup company, is there's ebb and flows, right? You're constantly going with whatever comes in front of you. There's an opportunity. It could be a bigger opportunity. You're not going to just stay with one well or one farm or one type of farm, right? You're going to look for revenues in any way you can within that industry, right? Whether that's renting equipment, purchasing equipment to rent it out for that, to create a revenue for that, or if it's actually from the sale of the actual physical, crop or commodity. So there's a lot of different ways for the ecosystem to go out there and generate revenues that we're not just tied to one. So if we said, we're going to tie this to one grow farm or one well, if that well just goes dry all of a sudden, or if that farm gets hit with a drought for the next few years, it's not able to produce as much anymore, so we're able to diversify. And when I say we, DebtBox is able to diversify and not just be in one jurisdiction or in one continent. I know the goal of, at least when Shad was talking, he wants to be in all 6 continents around the world, with mining and exploration, right? And so
and we're getting there fast.
And getting there fast, because like you said, the technology is pulling you guys in that direction.
Yes.
Maybe let's just kind of close off, because we're coming in on about our hour mark here. It goes really fast.
It does.
Let's talk a little bit about the technology that's kind of the base, the foundation for the ecosystem, and what's coming for. I know there's some stuff we can't give away right now because we're holding it for a few more weeks, but let's talk a little bit about that technology and how it is that DebtBox brings its utility to the real world miners and explorers out there.
Yeah, so that's done through the XPLR, the Explorer kind of group
Yeah.
there. So, like I said, in
Sweet. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Of course, if you want to watch the video yourself, you can just put in this link and it'll take you straight to the video. If you want to watch the whole thing, I just picked out some key details, some key things that I thought we should at least take a look at, see how they explain it in their own words and everything like that. If y'all did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'd absolutely appreciate it. Like I said, it only takes a second of your time. I think we've got like 50-something% that aren't subscribed to my channel, and that would be absolutely amazing if we could bring that number up. I think the next episode we do, we'll get into the other podcasts. I think we'll do one at a time, just because to keep the videos a little short. And yeah, and also keep up with the updates as well. And we'll keep doing that. Awesome. So I'll see y'all in the next one.